What's up, guys? Welcome back. It's me, Sam, aka Rangaku. Today is kind of a random impromptu video where I'm going to be reacting to Fox News's political cartoons of the day. This was posted yesterday. I saw this. It is 11:43 right now at night, and I saw this while checking the news, and I figured, you know what? I could make content out of this. So I'm going to react. There's 200 here. I'm not going to have anything to say for all of them, but for a good few of them I will. So this will be a less formal video, not like less editing and stuff. Just kind of getting my thoughts. I'm not doing any research. I'm not really doing much beforehand, but yeah, let's get into it because there's a lot. Okay, when I first saw this one, I thought it was an outline of like, and it still might be, of a like ICE agent. And this is a critique on them. So a lot of these are critiquing the Democratic Party and their criticism of the Republican Party, specifically Texas, trying to gerrymander. And I feel like it's lost on me. I think it's a bit extreme, which is shocking because it's Fox News. Like, there's this donkey one here, where he's like insane over it. And then there's one with Governor Newsom of California, this one. And it's like, I understand that you're critiquing them for being hypocritical, but you're also then being hypocritical because you're critiquing gerrymandering as a solution, but also your side, the Republican Party and the Fox News, would support gerrymandering in Texas. So like it's hypocritical, but it's critiquing it. It's hypocritical to be critiquing the hypocrisy of this. You know, it's like a double layer of hypocrisy, and I don't know. I don't think it works that well. IMO. This one, I just don't think it's that funny. Maybe, I don't know. It's certainly older demographic, which just makes sense because it's Fox News, because the Yellow Page is not a reference to anyone Gen Z. But like, Kamala's new book, which I didn't even know she had a book, would be as interesting as reading every phone. Like, like that's really creative. I don't know, this one's not the best to me. Okay, this is a kind of an interesting one. I think this is meant to be a parody of the Sydney Sweeney ad with the whole I have good genes and stuff, and the criticism for the blatant, at least undertones of white supremacy and eugenics and such, which the right notably says is nobody could be that ridiculous, right? Right? I mean, no, people are like that. I don't know. My stance on the ad is I'm not 100% sure of the meaning behind it. It's certainly questionable. I don't know if the intent is fully there. It probably is, but I don't know. Interesting thing to critique. IMO. Okay, this one I think is quite funny because it's just very ironic. Basically, this old couple wants Superman, which is a new movie, so it's hip. They know their stuff, and they want him to be Clark Kent, the journalist, because that's a real hero in today's age. Which is funny because this is from Fox News, which legally is not allowed to call itself news. It can only call itself, like a commentary on the social and political climate and stuff. Like, you should hire Clark Kent, Fox News. Like, that would be a hero for you, but you don't have that. So, yeah. Again, what are you critiquing here? I'm not sure. Okay, I did do a little research on. The Democratic Party polls are quite low, but they're about 6% lower than the Republican Party. So, if we're in the deep sea here, the Republican Party would still also be in the deep sea. So, criticism, sure. The Democratic Party is certainly flawed. I'm not trying to defend that, but calling out like unpopularity of a political party when you're also not a very popular party right now is interesting. I think this is actually a fair critique. The Democratic Party, basically their buses sank. I don't know what that was. They're saying, oh, we're underwater. And this donkey is just saying, well, it's just a messaging problem. Because a lot of Democrats think that, you know, their ideas are right. It's just a messaging issue, which I don't think it is. I think there is a lack of cohesion in the Democratic Party, which is a fair criticism, which is why I guess they're underwater here. Notably not deep sea, so they're not necessarily related to the last one, but I don't know why it would be. But I don't know. I'm not. This one's kind of has some validity as a criticism. I'm okay with this. Okay, this one is just plain weird to me. So it's the U.S. flag at half-mast, but also a Hulkmania flag. I don't know. Why are you defending Hulkmania? He was not a good guy. Or not Hulkmania, Hulk. He was a racist and a terrible person who did bad things. Naturally, the Republican Party doesn't really care, but, you know. He spoke at... Did he speak at events, or was that a different wrestler? I don't remember. No wrestler should be speaking at events, but whatever. Yeah, this one's weird to me. Okay, this one actually made me laugh. Basically, it's saying that Joe's writing a book. It's going to be so boring that you'll fall asleep, just like Sleepy Joe always did in office. You get a real, you know, first-hand account of what it was like to be president. Again, yeah, Joe Biden was old. Haha, he slept a lot, sure. Trump's no pinnacle of health himself or youth. So, again, like, you're critiquing something that could also just be applied to your party. I'd say maybe not quite as much, but still, like, I don't know. This is an interesting one. After reading this, I felt all three of these people kind of had a somewhat valid take. I'm going to lean with the mom and the Trump actively trying to ban CBS because of his own political agenda, because he's been doing that in other places, NPR and other websites and things. Like, there's a whole Paramount issue with South Park, which is why they have that whole episode. Hey, relax, guys. You know that, like, so that I'm gonna go out on a limb and say, but also, like, if he was losing $40 million a year, I mean, there's that as well. But why didn't he get fired before if he's been doing this for multiple years? I don't know. And the fact that this kid doesn't know Stephen Colbert because he's addicted to that damn phone, I guess, as a social commentary on kids these days, not knowing ball. But the ball in question is Stephen Colbert. I don't know if that's the most. This is the same idea. Okay, this one is just actually just racist. We have Zoran Mamdani here with a hammer and sickle because he's, you know, notably a raging communist when he's just a social democrat, cutting the Big Apple in half because he's going to destroy it with the sickle there. And then, of course, we got a little Islamophobia, racism thrown in there with his turban, which he notably doesn't wear, and a big anti-Israel Star of David there to symbolize that he's pro-Palestine and against Israel. Yeah, this one I don't think will age well in the history books. I don't think it already I think it already is outdated and, I mean, again, just racist. I'm not a big fan of this one. Here's another example of Trump cutting funds for something, and then now they're complaining that Sesame Street was indoctrinating your children, and it was left-wing. What is the values of Sesame Street? Like, compassion, kindness? You know, isn't it like someone new comes on the street and they're like, hey, welcome, friend. That's indoctrination of the youth right there. That's no good. It's a bit interesting. Also, I have no idea if I can legally show all these things, you know, copyright and stuff. I don't own any of these. I wouldn't want to, so I'm not trying to own possession of these. Here's a classic right-wing criticism of the left, that they're all just rioters. And Obama, why is Obama speaking? I'm not sure. Another right-wing thing of bringing up old presidents. This one especially, why? I don't understand the Obama connection here, but I don't know. Did he say this recently? Maybe he did, I don't know. We have an ad for 5 seconds that I can't even see. Thank you, Fox News. All right, we got another Sleepy Joe, haha, because he's old and was always sleeping on the job. That's funny, right? And they critiqued, I think, with this auto pen idea that he just was pardoning people. I don't get that, because Trump pardoned a lot of terrible people. Maybe Biden did as well. I'm not 100% sure. He probably did, but Oh, his hands are bloody. What is the meaning of that? I'm not sure. Okay, this one's funny because I think it's just very out of touch. Like Trump, if this is Trump and this is America's rising prosperity, this should have like crashed and exploded like 12 miles ago, at least. Like what? Why would the Fed? Okay, this is just classic conservative or like right wing media of like. So when Trump does something good for the economy, it's all him. But when it's bad, it's Biden, or they're blaming Powell here for raising the interest rates, which is something he is in charge of. But that's also, then you can't claim anything that was done well by the Fed or the economy, any policy that helps that isn't Trump too. Like you can't conflate the two between fiscal and monetary policy because those are different and done by different people, and you're conflating them here, but then criticizing them here when it favors you. Like that's just flawed logically, I feel. All right, this one I think has a bit of a undertone of racism, specifically the big mouth bass. So if you don't know I didn't know this either, but the mayor of Los Angeles, her name is something Bass, I forget already. She's a black woman, and I don't know, it's kind of, I don't want to say creative, but like I appreciate that they would make her a bass singing a song, as weird. That's like a weird, I don't know if that's like a non-American thing, but having a fish on the wall that sings when you press this red button. But of course, calling her a big mouth again, there's racist undertones here. I think of Jim Crow era jokes and things and all that. But again, don't worry, be happy. Which I don't know. Which is what, a Bob Marley song? Which I don't know if there's a racial element there. I'm not sure. It's Fox News, so I don't think it's the worst thing to bring up. And then again, the use of the word illegals I critique because they are human beings and diction is important. If you want to say you're offering cash to illegal immigrants, that's one thing, which I'm not even 100% sure is factually true. Again, I can't trust Fox News as a reliable source, so yeah, I'm not sure. But at the very least, the diction here is just explicitly wrong. Okay, this one I found funny because... This one's funny because ERB made a joke with the same punchline of "Weekend at Biden's." So that is funny. Oh, I was curious who these were. So this is Biden's doctor and Jill. And it's a good caricature or like cartoon when you have to write out who the people you're displaying are. And you can't just like recognize them. That's usually a sign of bad caricaturism. Granted, I don't think Jill Biden or Biden's unnamed doctor are necessarily the most, visibly recognizable people. But still, it's like a state flag that just puts their seal and the name of the state on it. Like, that's not... You should have a symbol for your state. You shouldn't just write the name. This is kind of a... I don't know. For clarity's sake, I actually don't mind it. But, like, I don't know. All right, now we have seen... This is all new stuff to me. So we have Superman here. You're getting my live reactions now. We've got a little Superman here, but his kryptonite is woke politics. What does that mean? Who is Superman? America? His kryptonite is woke. The way they displayed woke politics makes it seem like it's like enlightened and like look at it. I mean, because it is, but like look, it's like put on a pedestal almost. The light, the focus on it looks like holy or something. Not a normal depiction, I would have thought. Maybe this is like, oh, I think Superman's like dead here. Okay, I haven't seen Superman the movie, so maybe that's why. Maybe he's like dead by the rock. I don't know, but maybe this is a symbol of America. And woke, the wokeness has killed him. I don't know. Oh, and another ad. Thank you, Fox News. I'm giving you money. Except I'm not, because I'm not actually seeing the freaking ad. In memoriam of the Texas flood victims. Is this just real? I don't know if this is meant to be a joke at all. Not sure. Obviously, rest in peace everyone who died. I would hope, people recognize this as well as, a climate change disaster that's not necessarily avoidable, but could have been many years ago. Had a lot of drastic changes happen to the environment, which they have not. And I hope people look at this and say, hey, this doesn't have to be this way. We could still, the environment's basically already cooked, but we can do some things to make it less bad. And, this doesn't have to be, these are meant to be, silly kind of political commentary things on the climate of the world and not necessarily sad. It doesn't have to be sad if we did political change, but, whatever. All right, we've got Gavin Newsom here on his campaign bus trying to make America California again. Okay, which is not I from what I've seen, I don't think he's gonna run. He could, I don't know, but he's saying I like make America California again. Is funny because it's dumpster fire. They're saying interesting. This is kind of an interesting critique. I don't necessarily I don't think it's real because I don't think he's gonna run for president. And I don't think California is a complete dumpster fire. But maybe there's also a California wildfire, smoke fire. I don't know if there's something there. But this one's not terrible to me. This one I think is a valid critique of the Democratic Party and their corruption, which is in part why, as we saw earlier, the Democratic Party, popularity poll or whatever was relatively low because I think a lot of people or formerly in the Democratic Party, even myself would say, I'm not satisfied with the current status because they're a bit hypocritical. But again, like I was mentioning earlier, you're critiquing the Democrats for being, corrupt. And, which is, again, a fair comparison. It is true. And especially this kind of, the Democratic Party tends to have this moral high ground thing of trying to act like they're not doing the things that they're doing, compared to the Republicans who just are pretty open about being corrupt. So is that better? No. It's not being. Is it better to just be openly a criminal and corrupt in a political office? I don't know. You're critiquing Democrats on the thing that Republicans do probably worse. So I don't know. Okay, this is another weird one. Sorry, not weird, but it's meant to be sad, but this just comes off as kind of weird to me. I'm not sure if these are actual depictions of real people or just kind of ideas. Another ad. Thank you, Fox. It's every 10, 12? I don't know. Okay, this one's cool. Not cool, but fascinating. In a video I'm working on right now, I talked about how a lot of people have been claiming, on the left, have been reclaiming American symbols and the Betsy Ross flag here, as a sign to say, America was born out of revolution. These are symbols of the revolution. Let's have another one to get America back on track. And a lot of this stuff here, these kind of socialized programs and stuff, which I think this guy is kind of a part of. And they're critiquing that, saying, this is not Washington's America and what all these people were fighting for. It's the wrong revolution. So that's interesting, seeing from the right's perspective of this growing trend, and them, obviously critiquing it here. All right, this is another critique with the apple being eaten up, or that being destroyed. This time it's being eaten up, or kind of rotten almost. This time from left-wing extremism, as opposed to just Mamdani. I think the other one does a better job because I don't think New York, in its core, as this is being displayed, is an extremely left-wing place, or a place with left-wing extremism. Those are different. I think critiquing Mamdani for cutting the apple makes more sense than, all New Yorkers, right? Most New Yorkers aren't. Mamdani is, and he's trying to slice it up and make it different. I think this is a less effective way. Although this one isn't as racist, so, there's that. Oh, gosh. Okay, America is a tune. It must be sung together. By General Stan Lee. That made me think of Robert E. Lee. Oh, this is Gerald, not General. I'm dyslexic. I don't know, maybe I projected subconsciously that this just was General Lee. Sure. I mean, you could have used the Lincoln quote because that is, you are the party of Lincoln after all. So maybe you could have used that as a more better quote. I don't know who this guy is. Gerald Stanley Lee. Nice lead there. Sure. I kind of agree with this message to an extent. But, the words are going to be a little different. I think that's fine as long as it's sung the same way. I don't know. Okay. Once again, I'm starting to see a pattern here of these cartoons critiquing things that could be very easily critiqued of the right, if not more. It would be more valid to critique the right on these things. Now, I'm not sure of this scandal exactly, but I trust that it happened, I guess. But you don't think Trump has ever done anything to edit or, shut programs or done anything to make his image look better, to make him look more competent? He does that all the time. It actually has gotten to the point where I don't think he has as much because people don't seem to care. You see him in any interview or I watched when he was sworn in, and he couldn't make a competent or in a debate versus Kamala. Kamala destroyed him in that debate, if you remember. He just was rambling about the cats and the dogs that the Haitian immigrants were eating, allegedly, so they weren't. Speaking of, there's a cat. I'm not buying this. I also like the idea that there's an old people watching the TV. They're also very close. Just blindly listening to Fox News. It's a critique of themselves almost. So this is a Frank Sinatra joke, I think, where it's just changing the lyrics to make it socialism jokes. This is, I don't know, in my socialized dream, the rich are going to pay. Oh no, what a bad thing. Tax the white neighborhoods. No, I don't agree with that at all. In Marxist New York, it's not. Let's settle down. Again, they're conflating socialism with communism, and specifically Marxism here, they're all different, but whatever. I don't know. I think this is, to many right-wingers, is haha, yeah, that's good. But to many, not center-left, but further left, people like myself who are somewhat, democratic socialists, this is not bad, I don't mind this. These are all kind of good. The things he's thinking about, I support them. So it's not working. Oh, freaking another ad, bro. That still isn't being shown. What are we doing, dog? Okay. So, it seems like a critique of the labor force. Okay, this one's interesting. I guess it's critiquing young people and their work ethic. Sure, whatever, haha. I'm not sure the Midnight Hammer Cruises. That seems very somewhat military related. I'm not 100% sure. But we got Uncle Sam making a deal with the business, we got Uncle Sam here making a business deal with the military. And I think that's a bigger criticism than they are actually meaning for. But, whatever. Okay, we got another Mamdani thing. Oh, look, they changed his name to Madman. Because, what is that called? There's definitely a word for that. When you rearrange the letters and look, they turn the I into an exclamation point. It's funny. Cuts to police. No, what a bad thing. Considering grocery stores, that's kind of an interesting idea. Rent control and race-based property. Ooh, I haven't heard this. Race-based property taxes. That's kind of interesting. Is he crazy? If you reverse the third in front of me, Madman. Wow. This is not conspiratorial at all, which is not a right-wing thing at all, and not a Fox News thing at all. If you guys haven't gathered, I'm a bit sarcastic. Anywho, Trump destroys Iran's nuke program. They actually didn't. How humiliating. I'll never get over it. I meant for them. This is humiliating for right-wingers if they think this. He did some damage, I think, but not really. Not enough to actually stop it. And I'm going to go out and say, the depiction of this dude here and the mullahs, I don't know who the mullahs are. Shout out Thomas Mullah, though. I don't know if that's inaccurate I don't know if they're just saying something. I don't know. Like I'm not not racist enough to understand if this is racist or not. You know. I don't know what they're trying to imply here with this. Anyway, they're saying like the donkey's too focused on America being a war hawk, and that's embarrassing, which it is. But in actuality, no, it's embarrassing for them. Sure, that's not. I don't know if I there on that. Okay, this one's a depiction, and this one's like a depiction of Trump doing work, and that's scaring the Democrats. Yeah, it does. It's kind of alarming how much he does and how much executive orders he does spam. There is an argument to be said, and I mean he controls the House and the Senate and the judicial branch. So yeah, he gets a lot of stuff done. But there's an argument to be made that Trump second term is he gets a lot of stuff done and passed. Again, a lot of that is executive orders which he can just do on his own. But like, I don't know, he has gotten things done, terrible things. Almost all of them have been awful, but yeah, it is scary that he has so much action and agency. Wow, look at this. So Trump's being a peacekeeper. Look, he has the dove with the olive branch, and the media is critiquing him, calling him a loser, that it was only 12 days, which it was. This one fails to me. Like, I don't get, yeah, Trump did not actually create peace. All these people have a right to say what they're saying. Like, to criticize him. Like, I don't know. Yeah. The ceasefire lasted for 12 days, and then they went right back at it. Shockingly. No one could have seen that one coming. We were 48 of 198. There's 150 left. Good God. We're about a quarter done. Oh, Lady Liberty doesn't like a socialist being the leader of the capitalist world. Yeah, it's certainly interesting. This is clearly just fear-mongering, saying that if Kamala had been president, that she would not have done anything to Iran until it would have been too late and the White House would have been exploded. I don't know. I don't know how to feel about this. I don't know if Iran was really planning on striking America. Maybe they were. I'm not 100% sure. I don't know enough. But I'm going to go to say that this probably would not have happened. Which obviously, I mean, it's a political cartoon. It's a character. It's not, realistic necessarily. But this idea that if you're not tough on, war and stuff beforehand, it gets out of hand. I don't know if I subscribe to. But I'm also a pacifist and wish for less, war in international policy from America. But what the heck do I know? This one, okay. So we got this dude over here, rich white dude who liked his food, but he's kind of taken aback now because it was made by an immigrant, which is a commentary on how important immigrants can be to like the food culture of America, and these jobs like this, right? And now there's an ICE agent trying to illegally detain him without, due process or anything. This one misses the mark for me again. I don't, and when I say that, I mean like I don't think what the idea that they're trying to get is conveyed well enough. And my takeaway from this is not ICE is good. Like, this seems like a critique on ICE almost, not on immigrants, because the guy liked the food, and he looks surprised when he finds out that he is, being chased away. He's not like, yeah, go ICE agent, go. I don't know. Like, I feel like they could have made like that better. This is an interesting take of how the Republican Party knows more than the left broadly. So this lady is defending Trump as, they're saying that because, okay, this is interesting. I think this could be taken, and in 6 months it could age like absolute milk if Trump bans No Kings protests or signs or protests in general, or, cracks down on it, or has more protesters, being attacked for having them up and having free speech. Because you're critiquing Trump or she's defending Trump rather for saying, for, allowing all these protests to happen, basically. And, he's not a dictator. He's allowing you to protest. which is interesting because he's also banning a lot of programs that negatively talk about him, and he is controlling the media and firing people who critique him. So this is interesting. I think this could be used in a history textbook very interestingly. Again, if Trump does more damage to free speech. This is a critique here on the objectivity of media, and saying that broadly left media has ignored a lot of these issues. Biden being too old, Hunter Biden's laptop, and all the riots and stuff, and saying the left undermines all these things. I think I've generally been a massive critic of, the modern American newscape and how it's very political. I think that's one of the biggest issues in America and leads to the division that we see. And that's why, when I was doing my little news check at 11 p.m., I went through a bunch of different sources, and the last one I do is Fox News to get the conservative side. But I like all sides. I like the New York Times, and I like Fox. That's kind of my rotation, which is kind of a unbiased source versus then like a slightly center left, then a left, then a right source. And I feel like that gives me a good idea of what I want to see. So I'm here for criticizing the left. It's incredibly ironic that Fox News is posting this, but yeah, I'm not, the idea behind this just, applied to both sides, and I'm totally there for that. I also love those backgrounds, these like Instagram gradient color backgrounds. It's kind of funny. All right, this can't be good. This is not true. Like, this did not happen at all. Yeah, this is just not how that went down at all. Interesting. Okay, so they're talking, this is a criticism from the right saying, how are you attacking Trump for being a dictator when you all probably voted for Kamala, who was not appointed to you. She was, assigned by the Democratic Party after Biden stepped down, which has some legs to it. I think has some fairness, I guess. I would say, again, there's hypocrisy here. Trump won in 2016 when he did not win the popular vote. So, that there's another level there from that. Also, it's kind of like, I don't know, I think there is something to say of how, Kamala wasn't elected. I don't mind it as much because I'm generally more fan of parliamentary systems a bit, where you kind of vote for a party and then they pick the head candidate. But this is not a insane criticism. Again, hypocritical, but what the duck do I know? Here we have another critique of the left being a bunch of anarchist rioters who are super violent, which is generally not the case, and those people generally don't, align themselves with the party themselves. They are just actual anarchists who are using this as an advantage to riot and loot and all these things. Generally, they're not the same people that are there to protest, which is why, I don't mind you critiquing these people, but don't conflate them with all people protesting or just all people on the left. I do like this as a growing image. I like photos, or like, YouTube recaps of years that are like, what are the cultural moments? I think Fox and one of my favorite YouTubers, JJ McCullough, does this of like, what are the cultural pictures and things from this year that'll be, historic and stuff. And I think this picture, that one picture of the guy with the Mexican flag at a protest is iconic, and that's, symbolized there. Thrown in with a little xenophobia. But so I thought they were referencing this one earlier, the dog dude with everything on fire and saying it's fine, but now they're actually doing it. I guess this is, fire rioters, haha, bit, and the Democratic Party's fine with it. I don't think that's true. The Democratic Party, I don't think really. I think maybe the left media is more of a fan of, like they talked about earlier, of looking the other way or downplaying some of the riots and protests from otherwise peaceful events. But the Democratic Party themselves, I don't think, condones it. I think they're too centrist in that way, which is, you know, a big criticism of the Democratic Party. So I think if you just replace that with, you know, a left like CNN or something, then that makes this criticism much better, in my opinion. So this is like a Julius Caesar reference, I think. I don't know why he'd have a, what is this, a violin? I don't think that was invented at the time of Julius Caesar, but, you know, semantics. They're saying he's living this lavish life while people are rioting and destroying the streets, burning the flag, flying another one. Again, trying to scare the average old American of a Mexican takeover or something, when America does that all the time to other countries, but whatever. I think, you know, they're trying to say, oh, look at him, he's so out of touch, living this lavish lifestyle, thinking everything's great, when in reality your state's terrible. I think you could just replace this with Trump, and that would work as a criticism for, oh, they're calling him Nero, which is, I think, another, just a story. So that's not Caesar, anyway. But, yeah, if you just replaced him with Trump, you could just, I think you could, you know, get the very similar idea. Maybe give him a golf club instead of a violin, and you could make a critique on America instead of California. But, you know, this is funny. I don't think this is kind of poking fun at the right, which I appreciate. They're trying to talk, getting peace talks here is difficult, but the peace talks is not Ukraine-Russia, which is this woman not paying attention thinks, but it's actually between Trump and Elon. I think it's obviously a bit old now, the whole spat between the two, but this is actually quite funny, I think. So I just realized these are going back in time. So like, the 198th one would be at the very beginning of January. So probably Trump's whole term, basically. Okay, that gives me contextual evidence. Here's Elon burning this little bridge with a Molotov cocktail. Because he's backing. What is this trying to say? That they're actually very close? That Trump doesn't care? That Elon's just weird? I don't know. This one kind of looks cool. Like visually, I like this style. Instead of a deer, it's a donkey in headlights. That's somewhat creative, I guess. But they're scared of the Trump agenda? This isn't saying much, I feel like. It's not that deep, but I don't hate that. That's kind of cool looking. Okay, this one's funny. This is in reference to Bill Clinton saying, I did not have sexual relations with that woman, when he in fact did. So, just, classic Democrat lying, replace that with, the whole Joe Biden cognitive decline, how every, left-winger, or Democrat rather, a left-wing media outlet pretty much said, it's not real, it's not happening, when in actuality it was happening. Here's another one of those. Holy ads, bro. That's TOP. This one's kind of interesting to me. There's almost a bipartisanship here of saying, the Democrats and the Republicans are both saying it's hard and complicated to fix the debt. And this little, I guess, schoolgirl is saying, oh, just cut spending. Like a good little capitalist girl. Which is not how that works, necessarily. And I don't think this age, because it was probably before the big bill happened. And, that bill was the biggest contributor to the national debt ever, which was a notably Republican bill, by the way, when Trump ran a program to, lower the debt. Which is interesting then why he would say it's very complicated. I feel like if this was meant to symbolize Trump specifically, not the broader Republican Party, he'd say no, it's very easy, because Trump doesn't concede anything. That seems a little too much for a Trump Republican. But this is interesting. They're saying people out of trade school have a BMW. There's this, I don't know, cars, BMV, but and university students have their little Honda. I don't think that's a Honda or a Hyundai. I don't know. Sure, let's check back in like 10 years and see how accurate that is, and where those people are at financially. But everyone has their own path. I don't criticize that, but this is kind of interesting. This therapist is saying the issue is that the Democratic Party is just delusional, and that's why young men don't like them. So now we're in like Memorial Day. So they have a few different ones, and there's an ad to prevent me from showing you my point, but there's another one here after this ad, which again is not quite, I don't know how to feel about this, because I understand why they're doing it, but it's not a political cartoon. I guess maybe these are like a weekly thing in the newspaper, and these are just, they don't want to critique anything on this day. Sure, but like time and place. I don't know. Like, is this going to be a history book that'll say a lot on the commentary of the current political climate of America? No, I don't think so. Unless you're saying, Fox News values Memorial Day. CNN, if they did political cartoons, would they have something like this? I don't know. Probably at least something, but All right. If you don't guess what this one is, a criticism that could very much be applied to this publication itself. This one's about Biden's mental health and stuff, and this lady's critiquing them, or critiquing the dude for calling them journalists even. Again, Fox News cannot legally call themselves news, so I don't know who you're talking to there, but whatever. This is a frankly gross and just tragic oversimplification that I hope people don't think this is how this works. Waste, fraud, and abuse. What does that mean? Like, there also should be at least 2 commas. Whatever. Why is the donkey a rhino? I don't know what that... there might be a... Maybe I'm not educated enough there. We got the T for Trump, I think. No, this is not how this works. Instead of, this doesn't really exist, and if it does, it's not a clearly defined separate category. It would be mixed in, and Trump is just cutting that, like some part of this, which some of this will be waste, sure, and some of it's, being corrupt and whatever, corrupted, but a lot of it isn't. This is a bad, I don't know, like symbol for the simplification of Fox News and the conflation of disinformation. Ooh, trans in sports. This is fun. A biological male. No, that's not how that works. And that's a whole other topic, but I'm not getting into that right now. Defeated everyone in a women's competition. What did they prove? It's possible to win and still be a loser. Ooh, good one. That was good. I think this is funny because I'm assuming this is reference to Riley Gaines, who again came tied to 5th with the one lady, who she was not a winner in that race. She was tied for 5th, and then after Riley was taken away, she was still 5th. So, still a loser in both ways. I've never seen a trans woman characterized in a political cartoon. That's interesting. I guess the jawline and the big nose, maybe. They all have big noses. And the shoulders, I guess, is kind of I don't know. They didn't do... This is not a terrible, grossly caricature. But, we're simplifying. Trans in sports. I can make a whole video on that, but, Ooh, we got a facts, not feelings one here. Let's read them out. The Trump-Russia collusion. They're saying that's... Yeah, there is evidence to support that. In 2016, at least. Kills, lies, dead. Interesting. Well, that's not a lie. I don't know about Hunter's laptop. That's way too old for me. Yeah, we're still bringing it up. I don't know Majorca's. Is that like a play on Mallorca and mayor? I don't know. I don't know what that means. Biden is sharp as a tack. They're saying that's... What? Wouldn't... Okay, these are all like, men can get pregnant. I mean, trans men could. I actually don't know how that fertility works. I know for trans women it kind of fucks you over. I don't know about men. Okay, sorry. This really confused me. This spray is facts. All these things are conspiracies. That he is sharp as a tack. That's not a good thing. Oh, I thought sharp as a tack would be like he's as smart as an inanimate small object. I forgot that was like a saying. Don't mind me. COVID from Wuhan lab is a conspiracy. Is this a criticism that the right has on the left? That people think it's I feel like that would be the other way around. That the right would think that's a conspiracy. Anywho, the art of winning. End women in women's sports. Secure borders. End DEI. Prosecute criminals. You don't even do that. You just detain them and move them to foreign countries. The China-UK trade deals. High tariffs, that worked well. You voluntarily brought us into a small recession. Mass deportation, you did that one. Ending wars, you have failed through that one. Peace through security, sure. The art of losing. Men and women's sports. There's women, by the way. Open borders. There's something to be said there. I don't think this is what we have, though. We don't have secure borders, necessarily. Diversity at any cost. That is not DE&I, and that is not what the Democratic Party believes, I believe. Release criminals. I think the Democratic would say release innocent people. Surrender to China, yeah. Well, I mean, Trump wants to surrender to Russia, so, I mean, and he wants to bow down to Russia, not the EU. Of course, the opposite of deportation is mass invasion and endless war, which, again, Trump has not ended any wars since he's been in office, by the way. But, whatever. That's not, notable at all. Haha. Don't mind the ad. This is I don't want to say valid critique, but yeah, the Democratic Party doesn't really have an idea other than Trump sucks. But not even the entire, no, I don't think this is true. I don't think all Democrats are united in, rhetoric that's, anti-Trump. And at least voting policy-wise doesn't match that. So I think this falls flat. Oh, it's a sweet Mother's Day card from a kid to a mom. Thanks for not aborting me. So sweet. Why should the public have to pay for the public broadcasting system? What a novel idea that people pay for public services that benefit the good of society. Huh. Holy, another ad, dog. What are we doing, bro? SMH. It's not like 1 a.m. So if I'm kind of quiet, that's why. We got Snoopy? You don't got the copyright for that. Guess word got out that put an end to medical testing on beagles. I don't know what that means. This one's so stupid. The answer is it's anyone's guess. Because the question was... Why are they asking the question? Why is this backwards? Who was... Oh, I see. Yeah, okay, I misunderstood. Yeah, I actually agree with this. I think that a big fear is that what Trump thinks making America great again is very scary. Because it's going back in time for when, America was great for, rich, suburban, white families that were all, Christian, straight, and, all the things. That is actually a scary thought because people think that's, what America should be, when in reality it's not, and that's why we've moved past it, but whatever. I mean, again, you could flip these papers around, and then you could just be critiquing the right. There's a law right there. TSPM. Oh, bro, can I freaking... This is interesting caricature. I think the MS-13 is definitely reference to that one Trump interview where the reporter saying, that was, it was photoshopped on, After Effects. Wasn't real, and Trump was like, no, it was real. I guess that's what this is referencing, but I don't get more than that. Whoa. No. I need to go. There's another freaking ad. Excuse me. Yeah, this is an interesting one. Common sense, consensus, and ideas. The donkey is going for profanity. I think if you just change this to like speaking loudly or saying something outlandish for the sake of saying something outlandish, and replace this with an elephant, boom. You've critiqued the Republican Party more than you could have critiqued the Democratic Party with this. Again, this is months ago. I don't remember the Democratic Party having an issue with swearing, but I guess that was a thing. This is another critique saying, oh, Dems just keep getting lower and lower. They don't realize the problem. I think that's kind of fair. I don't think the Democrats know what they're doing right now. But I don't know what the Republicans are doing either. Yeah. This is woke education right here. You lied. Okay. This kid looks like, I don't know, 7, 6? 6, 7. Alright. Okay. Haha. Anyway. Yeah, your kid should not know that. They should not think a stork is how kids are made. They should know how it actually works. The doctor only guessed I'm a girl. Yeah, low key, kind of how that works. I mean, guess is maybe a light word, but, maybe assumed. I don't know. Could have been a slightly more accurate term just to make this, tone this one down, I guess. But, yeah, I don't know. Again, this is a right-wing criticism that I just... You're not saying anything crazy to me here. I agree with most of this, but whatever. This is an Iwo Jima statue reference, I think, which is kind of interesting. And they're saying, these bad takes that the Democrats have being propped up by the left-wing news. Interesting. I like this one as a, historic, political commentary perspective. But I guess maybe it's not the most creative. You could do this, 4 months from now, 2 years from now, with the right, with the left, just change the specific issues. But no, I like that. That's not bad. But, objectively. Ooh, what the hell? Oh, the Pope died. Explicitly religious, very interesting. Oh my God. Why is the Easter so, graphic and, deadly? Bloody almost. I don't know. That's an interesting typeface. Ugh. Granted, this is, private. Not private. This is a company. They can do whatever they want. It's not the government. But, I'm just gonna leave that one. I don't know what to say. Just gonna leave it. They're saying, the right is right. Use the right door because it's the right. Democrats are too dumb and stubborn. This is not true. They did not enforce the law. They broke the law. And then won't be punished for it because they're above the law. But, yeah, sure. DC has kicked the can. Trump crushes the can. Yeah. Except Trump's a part of DC. I don't know. Guys, look at this. Trump wants to use vaccines to help cure people. I thought vaccines cause autism and gay. Why would you want to inject Uncle Sam with that, Donald? Bit odd. But what the duck do I know? Alright, well, we're here with another ad. I think I'm going to wrap this up. There's still maybe 50 more, but they're getting too far back in time that I just don't understand the specific nuances that they're referencing. I would say you should go check these out on your own, but then you'd be supporting Fox News. So maybe don't. Maybe just rewatch the video and pause it for all the new ones and think of your own reactions. Yeah, if you like this kind of random off-script reaction video, I plan to do a few others like this when things happen. But yeah, like the video, subscribe, throw in the comments box if you have any thoughts on any of the political cartoons that you saw. And yeah, have a great day. I love you. Bye.